ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Super Bowl 57 overtime. Chiefs, Eagles, and what a dandy we just enjoyed together. 38-35 was the final score of that ridiculously entertaining football game. Chiefs get the win. Mahomes' second Super Bowl in his first 5 seasons in the league. Let's see, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 5 years as a starter, 3 trips to the Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowl victories for Patrick Mahomes. League MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and the chip to go with the dip. Mahomes gets it done. He was fantastic tonight. So was Jalen Hurts. 2 of the guys that were in the discussion for MVP both showed exactly why they were MVP candidates on this season. I think that was the best football these eyes have ever seen Jalen Hurts play in his entire career. He saved the best for last. If that's any indication of where he's going, the Eagles are in good hands with Jalen Hurts. We'll talk more about the Eagles down the line, but to the victors go the spoils. We're going to start this thing off by talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and what they were able to do in this 38-35 victory. If you're a Washington fan, cheers. But really, it was about getting a good game. We were this close to not getting a good game. And so I say cheers to a hell of a football game, right? I mean, this thing was 24-14 at halftime. And if the Eagles get a stop on that first possession of the second half, with the momentum that they had, this thing could have turned ugly. But instead, the Chiefs rallied off 2 straight touchdowns and took the lead 28-27. So salute to the Kansas City Chiefs for making this a ball game, and the Eagles for not going away. After the Chiefs ran off 21 points, what was that? A 21-3 run. Score was 24-14 and a half. We look up, it's 35-27. They 21-3 run. They could have went into the tank. Hurts takes them right down the field, and they score a touchdown, and he gets the 2-point conversion, and we're tied at 35. I mean, this was a fantastic football game. But the Chiefs needed to make adjustments. Let's start with the first half. The Chiefs simply didn't have the football. And you couple the inability to get off the field on 3rd down and 4th downs. And look, I'm wrong often, okay? I'm right more than I'm wrong, though. What did I tell you guys before this game? Just about everything I said came to fruition, okay? Sans for one thing, and that was the Eagles' success on the ground. You take Jalen Hurts out of the equation, and they couldn't run the football effectively. And I didn't think that was going to be the case. Thought they were going to have success on the ground. But I said, if this game is played in the 20s, the Eagles win. If the Eagles get into a shootout with the Chiefs, they will lose. I said, if this game gets into the 30s, the Eagles will not win. This is not where they want to be. And I also said before the game started, the Eagles, I've watched the Eagles. They're a family member. You keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. I know Eagles football. I've talked about the lack of killer instinct. Scoring 24 points in the first half. We had these discussions with LB, and I kept telling Eagles fans, and there were some Eagles fans that got the concept. Do not allow a team to hang around. You got a chance to step on their throats, do it. The Eagles didn't have the KI this season, right? However, this was Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a different animal. Okay, this wasn't the Minnesota Vikings in week 2 or the Washington Commanders in week 3. This wasn't that. This is a different animal. So they knew they were going to have to score more points, and they did. But talked about this vaunted Eagles defense. They didn't have a single sack tonight. Now, you could go ahead and count those kneel downs by Patrick Mahomes at the end when they were looking to set up the field goal and waste the clock. Knock yourself out. They didn't have a single sack in this game. This vaunted Eagles pass rush. Jonathan Gannon is ass. But yet, This Eagles offense moved the football in the first half, and the Chiefs, because of it, did not see the football. Did not see the football. I talked about the discrepancy on the live stream. We were watching this game live together. And I talked about it at the beginning of the at the halftime break before the third quarter got kicked off. I said there has been a massive discrepancy in time of possession, offensive snaps, yardage, third down conversions, fourth down conversion. Everything was skewed towards the Philadelphia Eagles, which is why they had the lead, at halftime, up by 10. They dominated the first. And if not for the Jalen Hurts fumble, they could have been up 24-7 in this game at half. Who knows what happens if the score is 24-7? Who knows? I mean, who knows how the rest of the half plays out? Remember, Hurts was getting stopped on that third down. That was a third down quarterback draw. He was going to be stopped for a loss of 1. They punt that football, right? I don't know. Maybe they go for it on fourth down. And shit, Chiefs hadn't stopped them all night. So I don't know. Maybe they go for it on 4th and 6 or so, whatever it would have been, and pick it up. But had they punted the football, I don't remember exactly where they were on the field, but I feel like they were in their own territory. They would have punted the football there. Who's to say that the Chiefs don't take that punt and move it down the field and score a touchdown anyway, right? Like, we don't know. But that's part of the reason the Chiefs weren't on the field, is because they got that scoop and score, and the Eagles offense came right back onto the field. So that had something to do with it. But the fact of the matter is the Chiefs couldn't get a stop defensively in the first half, really. They forced a punt on the Eagles' second possession of the game, and that was pretty much it. The Eagles either scored or turned it over on every possession of the second quarter. First play of the second quarter, you get the A.J. Brown bomb, and then you get the fumble by Mahomes or Hurts, and then they went right back down the field and scored a touchdown, and then they finished up the half with the field goal. Like, the Chiefs defensively could not get a stop. They could not stop Jalen Hurts, his legs, but they couldn't stop him throwing the football either. I mean, Hurts was outstanding. What did he end up finishing on the evening? Hurts was fantastic. Again, I've already said this. It's the best game I think I've ever seen Jalen Hurts play, college or pros. 27 to 38, 304, 1 touchdown, 15 rushes, 70 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion. Don't want to leave that out. He was splendiferous, was Jalen Hurts. But you get to halftime, even though you've been thoroughly dominated, at the halftime break, the numbers were something like this. Eagles, 278 yards of total offense. Chiefs, like 140 yards of total offense. Eagles, 6 of 10 on third downs, 1 of 1 on fourth downs. Chiefs, 0 of 3 on third downs in the game. Time of possession was 22 minutes to 8 minutes in the first half in favor of the Eagles. It was a total shit show for the Chiefs, and yet they were only down 10. And that fumble by Hurts had a lot to do with that, right? And I said there have to be adjustments made. You got to get Travis Kelce back involved. At halftime, Kelce had 3 catches for 60 yards. Kelce finishes this game with 6 catches for 81 yards. So he didn't have as big a second half as he did first half, but nonetheless, I think the key was getting Juju Smith-Schuster involved. He was a ghost in the first half. I think he didn't have a catch in the first half. He had 7 catches for 53 yards in the second half. He was huge getting him involved. Obviously, Kadarius Toney and the punt return was big. The touchdown he had, that was huge as well. They did a great job of spreading it around. Mahomes hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different receivers in this game. And one of them wasn't Valdez-Scantling. You know, he's been one of their bigger targets all season long. He didn't have a catch in this game. So they did it by spreading it around to a assortment of guys, which is addition by subtraction. Getting rid of Tyreek Hill forced other guys like Justin Watson and Noah Gray and Sky Moore and now Kadarius Toney and Juju Smith. It forces other guys to have to step up. And they've been doing it all year long. And they did it in this game. And I said one of the adjustments at halftime is you got to stop Hurts from running the football. I thought the Eagles went away from that. For whatever reason, don't ask me why. But again, it wasn't their offense. That was the problem. You know, aside from the one possession where they went 3 and out and punted the football, it wasn't their offense. That was the problem in the second half for the Eagles. It's their defense, right? But I said you got to stop Hurts from running the football. You got to get Kelce back involved. And you got to run the ball more. The Chiefs had 16 carries for, I think it was 106 yards at halftime. They were averaging roughly 7.4 yards a carry. Let's see what they ended up with. 26 carries, 158 yards, 6 yards a pop. Like, they were running the football effectively. I'm like, you got to get back to that. And they did in the second half, and they continued to have success. I talked about this all season long. You can run on Philadelphia. You can run on the Eagles. I also said, if you can protect, you can throw on Philadelphia. These are things that I stated all season long, and Eagles fans told me I was a hater because I didn't want to acknowledge that the Eagles were good defensively. No, you're a good defense. You're not great. I've been saying this. They weren't better than Dallas on defense. They didn't want to hear that. Dallas's ability to affect the quarterback by getting to the quarterback. And the Eagles will say, well, we had 70 sacks. How many did Dallas have? And I said, I watched these games. I know. As a fan of a team with guys who used to pad their stats in meaningless games against third-string tackles where they would get 3.5 sacks in a game against a third-string tackle and end up with 12.5 on the season, and you want me to feel really good about it? You had 5 games where you amassed, 11 of your 12 sacks, none of them against opponents that mattered. I know what that looks like. I know what that looks like, okay? You had games where you ran it up against teams that couldn't stop you, and you look up and you had 7 sacks. You had 9 or 10 against Washington. Your defense was good, but Jonathan Gannon isn't a good defensive coordinator, and the Chiefs exposed him in the second half. He didn't blitz. Gimpy Mahomes, they didn't get any pressure. Mahomes was able to stand back there and pick apart that secondary. Do whatever the hell they wanted to do, and they were able to run the football right at the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of counters, a lot of traps, a lot of misdirection, and then they even ran it right at Philadelphia as well with success. I thought that Mahomes was outstanding in the second half. I thought this game had a chance to be over at halftime, 24-14. Mahomes, gimpy going into the locker room. Everything said Eagles, if they can just play a semblance of what they did in the first half, in the second half, they're going to win this game. And what ultimately happened was a role reversal. Let's take a look at time of possession. I feel like the Eagles didn't really have the football in the second half. Felt like the Chiefs kind of evened up the time of possession game, if you will. Let's see. Ended up being 35-47 to 24-13. The Eagles had it for 22 minutes in the first half, only 13 in the second half. Chiefs had it for 17. So the Chiefs kind of wrestled a little bit of that time of possession back in the second half. Remember, the Chiefs didn't have a third down conversion to their name in the first half. In the second half of this game, they were 4 of 5 on third downs for the Chiefs. That's where the game was different for them. They were able to possess the football, keep the Eagles off the field just a tad bit more, because they really weren't stopping the Eagles offensively. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles punted twice in this game. Second possession of the first half and one of their last possessions of the game, they punted. I think it was when the score was 30. I want to say the score was 35-27. They were forced to punt. I think it went 3 and out. No, 28-27 is when they punted. That's when you got the big punt return from Kadarius Toney. So they only punted twice in the game. Again, this is not on the Eagles' offense. That's why Shane Steichen is about to get the head coaching job in Indianapolis. I've been saying this all year. Shane Steichen deserves a head coaching job. He did a phenomenal job with that offense. Conversely, I said Jonathan Gannon is ass. He shouldn't be considered for any head coaching job. Yet everybody keeps talking about Jonathan Gannon's going to get some consideration for head coach. This guy's been phenomenal. Look at this Eagles defense. I'm like, this shit ain't him. Don't give him credit. He ain't do shit but just roll the ball out. It's like he got Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, all on the same team. All he did was roll the ball out. All right, y'all go get me some buckets. He ain't do shit. He ain't calling no plays. He got exposed tonight. Mahomes was masterful in the second half. They ran it well. Good mixture of run and pass. It's a well-called game by Andy Reid. The Eagles had no answers in the red zone. 2 defensive breakdowns in the red zone. Again, that's good play calling. The motion killed them all night. The first touchdown of the game, they motioned the receiver outside, or rather, they motioned the receiver inside, which gave Kelsey one-on-one with the nickelback Marcus Epps. He beats him on a option route up the sideline on a slot fade touchdown. Beautifully thrown football by Mahomes. Second half, you get the motion by Kadarius Toney. He stops right behind Kelsey. Kelsey just runs up the field. 2 guys go with Kelsey, and Kadarius Toney's wide open in the flats. You get Sky Moore with motion on the outside, top of the screen, comes in motion, stops, pivots, turns back outside. No Eagle defender gets back out there. He walks into the end zone. It's great play calling by, and it's just simple motion. Just a little misdirection, but simple motion. Misdirection killed the Eagles defensively all night long. Maybe the Chiefs saw something on film, but they were able to exploit that in this game time and time again. And Mahomes, what can I say? What more can I say? Hurt his ankle, end of the first half, and looked no worse for the wear in the second half. Had a couple of massive runs, including that run on the last possession of the game to set up the game-winning field goal. It's a huge run at the most inopportune time for the Eagles. They looked old and slow on the defensive line on that play. Brandon Graham, 77. Fletcher Cox, 87. Ndamukong Suh's 92. All of these guys are old as dirt. All right, they looked it on that play. Bunch of old farts out there running around. But when they had to have it, the Eagles defense had chances and they couldn't come through. And that's where this game was lost. That offense was spectacular tonight for the Eagles. But I said, you don't want to get into a shootout. I picked the Eagles to win this game because I didn't think it would become a shootout. But once I saw 24-14 at halftime, I'm like, well, shit, we're probably going to get a shootout now. Les Mahomes is so compromised with the ankle that he can't perform like against Jacksonville when he first did it. Unless he can't perform, we're going to get this thing pushing 30, right? No, the Eagles don't score a lot of second half points. But they got 24 already. It's going to be hard for them not to score an additional 6 points and get this thing to 30. And I said this, if either team hits 30, that doesn't favor the Eagles. If this thing turns into a shootout, you're not going to win. And I said in my preview, 27-23 Eagles. I said, if this gets into the 30s, Kansas City wins this game. No hesitation, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It got into the 30s, advantage Kansas City. Mahomes was spectacular. There were some big plays and some big penalties. And I know Eagles fans are going to be pissed about the call on James Bradberry. It was a penalty. I don't know what else you want me to say. It was a penalty. And Bradberry had also gotten away with one early in the game when Kansas City had to punt on a third down where he turned the receiver. He grabbed and turned Juju Smith-Schuster over the middle of the field, and they didn't call it. So you got away with one earlier. You couldn't get away with one at one of the crucial parts of the football game. But, wow, what a game. You know, there was some, like I said, the penalties were huge on both sides. Kansas City had some big penalties, untimely penalties, third down. You know, they had one on the fourth down that they didn't force the Eagles to snap. They had one on the third down that they didn't force the Eagles to snap. They had some untimely penalties. Both teams did. Both teams had some big-time penalties. Weren't a lot of them called for a lot of yards. Weren't any pass interferences or anything like that, which is good. Let the players play and determine the outcome of the game on the field. But the ones that were called, a lot of 5 yards, variety penalties, but the ones that were called were impactful, including that holding penalty on James Bradberry. Special teams, huge punt return. I actually thought both teams had some good returns. Britton Covey has been trash for the Eagles all year. Actually had a really good return. I want to say late stages of the first half, setting up that Eagles field goal drive. You had the return by Kadarius Toney, just a huge return. Once he reversed field, you knew you were in trouble. Now you got a wall set up. And luckily enough for Philadelphia that he didn't score a touchdown. You almost got to stop. You got him to third down. You had him, and then the defense gives it up to Sky Moore there. But Sky Moore. Was that the Kadarius Toney one? Yeah, it's the Kadarius Toney one. You give up the touchdown. No, I said that right. Sky Moore was the one to take the lead. Kadarius was the one to extend it back out to 8. I said that right. Kadarius was the one to take the lead. Then he had the big punt return, and Sky Moore was the one to extend it out to 8. So you had a chance defensively there. And I said this watching the game. This is the chance. Eagles vaunted defense, this, that, and the third, 70 sacks this season, all these turnovers you forced. This is why I need you to stand up. Sudden change. It wasn't a sudden change of possession necessarily, but your back's against the wall. So it's like a sudden change of possession. Because when you punt, you don't expect to come on the field and defend 6 yards of grass. You don't expect that. So this is the chance. You want people to respect you? You want to flip the momentum of this game? Get a stop here, force them to kick a field goal. You were one snap away from doing that, but you didn't. This game was lost on defense. Jalen Hurts had the one fumble. With the way he played, you can't blame him for shit. Yeah, no, you don't want him to fumble that ball, but that guy was effing amazing. 74 yards rushing, 300 yards passing, accounted for all 4 of the Eagles' touchdowns. Well, see, threw for 1, ran for 3, had a 2-point conversion. I think Gainwell scored a touchdown. Did he score a touchdown? They called his touchdown back, I thought. Somebody else must have scored a touchdown because they scored 5 touchdowns in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Or did they? They might have. Nope, they didn't score 5 touchdowns. They kicked 2 field goals and had a 2-point conversion. So, yeah, he accounted for all 4 of your touchdowns. So, yeah, he fumbled, but you can't dwell on that because of how fantastic he was in the game. Mahomes, league MVP, showed it in this game. Andy Reid is a maestro, showed it in this game. I actually thought Steve Spagnuolo did a pretty good job. I know a lot of people were killing the Chiefs defense. That's a good Eagles offense, man. Like, I don't want to discount how good the Eagles are on offense. Like, the reason I say this is because the touchdown to A.J. Brown, he had a perfect play call for that. Trent McDuffie's in great position, and he just misplays the football, right? They run the same concept again, and Jalen Hurts lets it go again. And if Juan Thornhill doesn't come over the top, he's going to catch that football too, because I don't know what the hell. Like, that second one, you have safety help over the top, so you're supposed to play underneath, and you got a guy over the top, and they played it perfectly. But if Juan Thornhill had slipped or anything, he would have caught that one too. But they had it defended the first time when they caught the touchdown pass. And I actually thought they did some good things defensively, and guys just didn't make plays, you know. But again, you got to credit the Eagles, man, on offense. God, they were good tonight. And they were good really all season long. And Hurts showed no ill effects of the shoulder. This is the first time he's looked truly healthy to me since he injured the shoulder against Chicago late in the season. The deep ball touch was there. He had been lacking that. He'd been missing guys. Both of the first 2 games, he missed guys open down the field for touchdowns. A.J. Brown in the Giants game. I think Devontae Smith was open against the 49ers, and he overshot him. He missed guys. He didn't miss tonight. He had the deep ball going. He had the underneath going. He was a playmaker, eluding pressure, making things happen. You know, the third down, eluding pressure, outflanking a blitzing defender, and getting the throw across his body to Pascal for the first down. Like, he was fantastic tonight. And then we don't even need to go to his legs and how impactful those were, especially in the first half of this game. Jalen Hurts was everything in this game. I can admit when I'm wrong. I was flat out wrong about Jalen Hurts. Tonight was a stud-like performance. Like, there aren't many quarterbacks. It reminded me of when Kaepernick was taking over the league, that 2012 playoff run he had, where he lit up the Packers for over 200 yards passing and another 100 rushing. this was on par with that, but this was better because this was on the Super Bowl stage. And he accounted for all 4 touchdowns that the Eagles scored tonight and the 2-point conversion. He made every big throw in this game. Again, I said when Kansas City got the ball back, tied 35 with just a shade under 6, I said, you can't let the Eagles touch it again offensively with any meaningful clock left. Because the way Hurts is playing, he's going to take the ball down the field and either tie it up and send it to overtime, or he's going to flat out beat you. You have to end this game, essentially, with a kick through the uprights. And that penalty by James Bradbury allowed them to do that. Their offense was spectacular. Devontae Smith over 100 or at 100 yards. A.J. Brown right behind him with 90-some-odd yards. He was a slot machine tonight. Killing them with the slant game. What did I say about that? And Hurts was just – that throw to Dallas Goedert on the 3rd and 14. Are you kidding me? Like, seriously, Hurts was in his bag tonight. He was in his bag. And he had to do it without really a semblance of the run game. Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, none of these guys were impactful tonight. Let's take a look at the Eagles' rushing attack. Gainwell, 7 for 21, 3 yards a pop, nothing. Miles Sanders, 7 for 16, 2.3 yards to carry, nothing. Boston Scott, 3 carries, 8 yards, 2.7, nothing. Okay, the Chiefs shut down the Eagles' rushing attack. Hurts was the rushing attack, 15 carries, 70 yards, 4.7 a pop, and 3 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. He was the rushing attack. So Devonta Smith with 7 for 100, A.J. Brown 6 for 96, Dallas Goedert 6 for 60. I mean, their big guys showed up. They came to play. You know, the only mistake made on offense was the fumble by Jalen Hurts. That was pretty much it. Every time they got in that big jumbo formation with the quarterback sneak, they converted it. They couldn't stop that. Hurts was fantastic inside the 5 as a runner. The 3 touchdowns speak volumes, and the 2-point conversion as well. I mean, they executed the way they wanted to on offense. This is strictly on the defense, and if you want to sprinkle in special teams by giving up the big punt return, knock yourself out. But this is on the defense if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Don't blame anybody. Don't blame the officials. Don't blame the Hurts fumble. None of that shit. You're not going to win many games giving up 31 points. You take away the fumble by Hurts, you still gave up 31 points on defense in this game. And it could have been more. If the Chiefs needed a touchdown on that final possession, they could have gotten it. Your defense was atrocious tonight. Conversely, the Chiefs, their defense wasn't that much better, okay? But the difference was Mahomes had the ball last. I just feel like whomever had the ball last was going to win this game. Hurts got it technically the last snap, but it wasn't a realistic chance at scoring, right? Mahomes got it last with a realistic chance of winning the game. And that's exactly what he did. And had it been in Hurts' hand, I think he would have done the same damn thing. And the Eagles would have won this game. What a game. What a game. What a game. What a game. All right. Let's get to the comment section. I was thoroughly... Are you not entertained? I was thoroughly entertained by that game. And everything that I said, minus the Eagles being able to run the football, I thought Kansas City could protect. I thought that the Eagles would get a little bit more pressure than they did, but not much. I didn't expect them to sack Mahomes 5 times or anything like that. But I thought they'd sack him once or twice. No sacks? None? I didn't expect that. Especially after Mahomes was compromised. I thought at some point Jonathan Gannon is going to try to heat up Mahomes now that he's compromised. Nope. Never tried. Mahomes just sat back there and picked their ass apart. All right. Let's see what you guys have to say. Mutib Khan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, is Mahomes a top 5 QB when it's all said and done? Talking about the NFL history? I mean, can't you already tell that? Again, he's got a long way to go. I just told you the man's only been a starter 5 years in this league. But in 5 years, he's been to 3 Super Bowls and won 2 and 2 league MVPs. Extrapolate that over a 15-year career. You're talking about 6 Super Bowls, playing in 9 of them, and winning 6 league MVPs. Yeah, he's gonna be when if this continues, and we can only assume that it will. What's gonna short of injuries, and I let me knock on some wood. I don't like even bringing that up, but short of something catastrophic happening, as long as Andy Reid is there, and I don't see Andy going anywhere anytime soon. Yeah, when Kelsey is no longer, and Kelsey's getting up there in age. Let's see how old Travis Kelsey is. He's got to be like 33 years old. 32. I'm going to put him at 32 years old. Travis Kelsey's got to be getting up there, though. See how old he is. 33. I was right. I said 32. My first guess was 33, but I said 32. I knew he was somewhere in that neighborhood. He's getting up there, but tight end is one of those positions you can play until you're 38, 39, and Kelsey's in great shape. But eventually his security blanket is going to be gone, and they're going to have to find someone to replace him. And so we'll see, if at that moment, like Brady losing Gronk, if that has the kind of impact that had on Brady's career. When he loses Kelsey, maybe he slows down a bit. But as of right now, yeah, he's going to, when it's all said and done, right now, he's on track to be right behind Brady, if not surpassing him. Going to be hard because in order to even enter that conversation, he's got to win at least a bare minimum of 5 Super Bowls. And even then, if you don't get to Brady's mark of 7, I don't even think there's a conversation to be had. But he's already went to 5 straight AFC Championship games. I mean, he's on a Brady path right now. So. John Livingston, my guy, JL Smith. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, glad the Eagles lost. The holding call was BS, but they couldn't stop the Chiefs in the second half. I got to eat my crow. Hurts is him. I was wrong. Credit to Howie for setting him up for success. I had to eat mine too. I mean, I did mine earlier in the season, though. He'd been good all year long. I to admit that I was wrong, but I'm going to do it. I did it again tonight, and I'll even give a double O out for this performance. Okay. I was wrong about Jalen Hurts. He was fantastic tonight. I mean, this is the best game I've ever seen him play. He made every throw. He ran every single time they needed a big play from him. Legs, arm, it did not matter. He did it. Howie Roseman deserves a ton of credit. I'm going to be interested to see what they do. Do they have a guy in-house that they trust to take over for Shane Steichen? Because that's going to be a huge void left in this coaching staff if Shane Steichen does become the next head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. That is a huge void to fill. Steichen was massive for them this season. That was a hold. You could call it BS if you'd like. That's a hold. I mean, if it were your team, would you have been mad? Probably so, but it is what it is. He'd gotten away with a hold similar to that earlier in the game. He didn't get away with it that time. And the hold wasn't on the second hold. You could have called him for holding twice on that play, but I didn't mind the little tug as he was trying to go up the field. It was the tug when he was whipping back out, because if he doesn't do that, he's open on the whip route, on the initial back out. You go in and then you stop, turn, pivot, go back. He's open. If Mahomes gets it to him going away from Bradbury without that hold, he's able to turn up the field and potentially get the first down. He had to hold him to stay connected to him, which is why Mahomes turned down that throw initially and waited until he went up the field and tried to throw it to him then. So that hold mattered. It impeded his progress. He would have separated. Chase Radar, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, smoking on that Eagles pack feels good. Feels good. Well, we didn't smoke the Eagles pack. So that would be the equivalent of somebody else rolling some loud, right? And you wanted a hit, but you really don't trust when somebody else rolls up. Like, you really want to roll your own shit. So you're like, I'm going to just take in the essence. Like this was you got some secondhand smoke here, bro. You didn't actually smoke the pack, okay? You just took in some of the residual, if you know what I mean. But that's okay too. You can get a little buzz off of that. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Eagles Super Bowl hangover. All the FAs likely gone. Bye, Eagles, bye. I don't know if there'll be a hangover. I was going to say this whether they won the Super Bowl or not. I was going to say this. I don't think they're going to duplicate what they did this year. Meaning, you know, what did they go? 14-3, number one seed. I don't think their schedule is going to be tougher. And to your point, they're not going to lose everyone. They're going to lose some of these guys, though. They can't re-sign everybody. Now, they set themselves up with these draft picks, and they may be able to replenish a lot of the guys like James Bradberry. Well, guess what? They'll be in a position to draft a corner, and a damn good one, right? So they can replace James Bradberry. If they hit on the right guy at the cornerback position, they'll be fine. So they positioned themselves to lose some of these players, but still be okay. But like a guy like TJ Edwards, who was huge for them, they may or may not re-sign him. We'll see what ultimately happens, you know. But he was big for them. Maybe they decide not to pay him. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't they get the kid from Georgia who had the shoulder injury or whatever? He fell down draft boards. Like maybe he's ready to help them next year. Maybe he sucks ass. I don't know. But if you ask me, they're going to be fine. It's just, I don't think they're going to be able to duplicate what they did this year. That's all. They'll still be a good football team, though. They're not going to fall off a cliff. Quentin Ruiz, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Quentin writes, we needed KC to win. I couldn't bear to listen to LB. I told you I didn't care. Personally, did I prefer a Chiefs win? Absolutely. Absolutely. But if the Eagles had won, I'd have tipped my cap to them. Jalen Hurts, the way he played, even though they lost, that was that was a performance that if you were on the fence about Jalen Hurts, you can't do anything but give him his respect. You saw what my guy JL Smooth said tonight. Like, I wanted to hate. I can't hate on Jalen Hurts. Like, that's pretty much what he said tonight. Like, that dude's legit. He's him. Like, if you're an Eagles fan, there's some takeaways from this season, from that game, that lead you into the future feeling damn good about your squad. You know what I'm saying? Now, the defense, they're not one of them. Okay, Jonathan Gannon does not instill confidence in any Eagles fan, and I know he's the guy that's going to catch the brunt of Eagles fans' venom. Okay, they're going to be pissed. They're going to want to blame someone. They're going to start with the officials on the holding call, which didn't lose them the game. All it did was it took any opportunity for them to tie or win the game away. There was nothing guaranteed. There could have been no holding there. Chiefs kick a field goal and Eagles kick a field goal. They go to overtime and the Chiefs still win the game. Anything could have happened, right? We'll never know. We'll never know. But your defense was the reason you lost this game. You scored 35 points on offense. You had over 400 yards of total offense. You were 11 of 18 on third downs. You were 2 of 2 on fourth downs in this game. There is no excuse for you to have lost. With those kinds of numbers and the efficiency with which you played on offense in tonight's game. But you did, because you gave up 38 points, 7 of them, I concede, on offense with the fumble by Jalen Hurts. You still gave up 31 points. And again, a punt return that, gave them great field position. But they weren't stopping the Chiefs anyway. Okay? Especially in the second half. They weren't stopping them anyway. They could have got the ball at their own 7, and they probably would have gone 93 yards. The Eagles weren't good on defense tonight. Had this resulted in an Eagles victory, I would have given them their credit. I'm still going to give them credit. It's a hell of a season by the Philadelphia Eagles. They fell one game short. And again, second place is the first loser. There's no solace in finishing second. However, they had a hell of a season. Can't take that away from them. And Jalen Hurts, he was him. But the Eagles would have been insufferable. Lloyd Brunson would have been intolerable. Intolerable had they won this game. He'll still be intolerable regardless. But it would have been extra sauce on top had they won this game. The Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, sheesh, about time the pigeons made it to the couch. It took a while. I mean, technically speaking, what are we watching? USFL now? XFL? I mean, we ain't watching shit that matters anymore, but at this point, I'm passing the popcorn all the way down to the Eagles. You know what it is. We've been waiting on them to show up. I had a drink waiting on them. And it's just good to have the gang back together, man. Didn't expect it to take this long. But we're all here. We're all accounted for, and we've all got stories to tell. Took a while. Jesse Prescott. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Jesse writes, thanks for making this season more enjoyable. Looking forward to watching your reactions to this offseason. I appreciate you for supporting, Jesse. You know where to find me. I'm not going anywhere. And, anything that happens, your man Louie T's got you covered. So I appreciate you for supporting, Jesse, and I look forward to chopping it up with you in the future as well. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Metaphor writes, Ron better be interviewing Bieniemy after the presser. I'm hoping that the interview takes place tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe Bieniemy has, one too many tonight and is in any position to interview tomorrow, and you have to wait till Tuesday. I don't know if Bieniemy wants to be a part of the ticker tape parade first before. I don't know how it's going to go. It's going to happen this week, and Washington's going to make a decision at some point this week. I prefer it sooner rather than later so I can be around when it happens because, as I told you already, my week ends this week on Wednesday, going out of town. And so I won't be around Thursday and Friday. And if they decide to hire somebody on Thursday, I won't be able to talk to you about it until I get back into the office. It'll still be relevant, but it just won't be immediate. It won't be when it happens, which is when I like to be available. So I got a video for y'all though, because somebody had an interesting take on Eric Bieniemy, and I want to talk about it, but still doesn't change the fact that I would like to see him get an opportunity. B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I think Eagles have Rams level Super Bowl hangover next year with their reckless spending vet pickups. Oops, forgot the Super Bowl though. Rams did win the Super Bowl, right? Eagles not so much. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think you guys realize how well Howie Roseman has set this thing up. Yeah, they went out and got a lot of guys on one-year deals. Linval Joseph. They went to the old folks' home, went and got Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. Those guys will be gone. They went out and got James Bradbury on a one-year deal. They traded for safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They're going to re-sign him. He's not going anywhere. Nick Edwards TJ Edwards rather. His contract is expiring. He'll be a free agent this year. They'll have to make a decision on him. Is Jason Kelce going to retire now? That's a tough way to go out, but he was pondering retirement last year. They drafted, a center in the second round last year that didn't play this year because Kelce was there. So they feel good about the guy they drafted last year. I think he was out of Nebraska. Like, they're ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, how he set this thing up. They've got 2 first-round picks this year. I'm pretty sure they're going to allow James Bradbury to walk. Okay, we'll just draft a corner in the first round. So what are you going to do? Like, they're in a position. I don't think you guys are taking into consideration how well Howie has set them up. Because Hurts is good and they don't have to package up picks to go get a quarterback, because they don't have to worry about quarterback now, they're set up for success with what they've done the last 2 years, trading back and allowing teams to come up and stockpiling draft picks. And so they're in a good spot, man. They're in a really good spot. I don't think you'll see a hangover as much as they just won't be as good. It's hard to duplicate 14-3. I don't think they'll be 14-3 next year. Joe Rockhead, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lord Brunson crying cheese whiz tears. Hashtag bye Felicia. Is he really on his channel? I mean, I know last time when we beat him, he was a poor sport. I heard y'all say that he blamed the referees and he jumped off after like 5 minutes. So knowing him, he's probably not taking it well. As a matter of fact, I wonder is he actually streaming right now? I'm gonna check. I'm gonna be nosy for a second. And I'm gonna just pull up on his page and see if he is actually live right now and see what he's talking about. Oh, nah, he's already gone. He came in, he went in, and he went out. Let me see. Let's hear a little bit of it.
Y'all hear me, man? Give me a thumbs up if y'all can hear me. Let me make sure my mic won't work. The offense looked like they belonged out there today. The offense looked like they belonged in the Super Bowl. This might be Jalen Hurts' best game I ever seen as a pro.
I said
on the biggest stage.
I said the same thing.
On the biggest stage.
Said the same thing.
Smitty as well. They're two best games I've seen from them on the biggest stage. Jalen Hurts threw some dots in this game, yo.
Dimes.
Jalen Hurts threw some unbelievable passes in this game. Accurate. Patrick Mahomes at all game. All game, we didn't sack Patrick Mahomes at all. It makes me wonder, you know what I'm saying, who really got the best offensive line in football? I think the slight edge go to the Philadelphia Eagles in this debate over the Kansas City Chiefs because the Philadelphia Eagles guys are
So you heard a little bit of Lord Brunson there. We don't have to sit there and listen to the whole thing. He sounds pretty much like I probably would have sounded. You know, I probably would have been a little bit more animated, specifically talking about the defense. But Jalen Hurts was fantastic. I said that already. The best game I've ever seen him play. I don't disagree with anything that he said there. The Eagles' offensive line is fantastic. They showed it again tonight. Hurts pretty much was clean all night long. But the difference was the Chiefs came after him. There were times where he had to scramble out and, get rid of the football or run out of bounds. 2-yard loss, which counts as a sack. They came after him. Like, Steve Spagnuolo isn't going to sit back and just let you pick him apart. If you're going to pick him apart, you're going to pick him apart. But he's not going to just let you sit back there and do it. Whereas Jonathan Gannon didn't do anything. He just systematically let Patrick Mahomes slice and dice him in the second half of this game. Anyway. Reborn Soul Vibes, my girl Ree B. Always good to hear from you. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, writes. I'm so proud of this team, as you should be. I'm disappointed in our D. I don't think we played aggressive enough. Tacky call at the end on the 3rd and 8, great game. I agree with everything. I didn't love the 3rd and 8 holding call, but it was holding. Like if we're being, if we're going by the letter of the law, it's holding. Would I prefer them not to call it? Yeah. I want the players on the field to decide the outcome of the game. I don't want a holding penalty there. And they had been letting the players play on the field. And you know how I am about that. If you're going to throw the flag, then throw the flag. They had been letting them play for the most part. I thought it was a well-officiated game. At that point of the game, you hate to see that flag thrown at that point. Let them decide the outcome of this game on the field. You had done it all night long. You'd pretty much stayed invisible, stayed out of the way. And stands for delay of games and offsides and stuff like that that's clear to see, where there's no gray area. You stay out of the way. There wasn't a lot of illegal contacts. We had hands to the face. You can see it was hands to the face. We had offsides. You can see it was offsides. We had false start. You can see it was false start. There were easy black and white calls. The gray area calls, the judgment calls, you stayed out of the way. It was that holding right there where you decided to impart yourself into the game. I don't love it. I don't love it at all. But was it the right call? Sure, it was the right call. But would I have preferred them to swallow the whistle, keep the flag in your back pocket? Absolutely. I don't need a flag there in that situation. But you should be disappointed in your defense. They're the reason you lost the game. The offense was outstanding. But this is who, you said they weren't aggressive, but that's who Jonathan Gannon's been all year. That's what I've been saying. Like, they weren't aggressive enough, but he hasn't been aggressive all year long. It's just worked because teams have been behind. You've gotten up on teams, and now they got to pass, and now you can pin your ears back. You can get aggressive in some coverage. You could come up and press guys and disrupt them, or you can run some of these twists and stunts and have somebody come free. That wasn't the case tonight. And when it wasn't the case against Detroit, it wasn't the case against Dallas. It wasn't the case against Washington the second time. You had some games this season where you could see a game like this happening. It was a great game, though. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Really appreciate you as always, Reby, and always great to hear from you. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor writes, gonna ban the new push QB tactic, or Hurts not as good. Hurts is legit, man. But that's a thing now. Unless the NFL's plans to do something about it, that's a thing. They're not the only team doing it. When you get into quarterback sneak mode, like, you're not even hiding it anymore. Okay, I'm going to get all my guys up in that victory formation type of, alignment, and I'm going to have them push, my guy forward. And unless the NFL somehow comes and votes about that play in particular and says, hey, that's an illegal, because it used to be illegal. You used to couldn't do that, right? You used to could not do that. And then I think it was just like 3 or 4 years ago, they made it legal to be able to push from behind. And maybe they go back and say, we made a mistake. I don't think they will. I don't see them changing that. But that's an automatic for the Eagles. You get a team with a big, beefy offensive line like the Eagles have, and a big, thick, burly paws quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who can squat a small house. Good luck stopping that from getting a yard and a half, which is usually what you need on plays like that, a yard and a half. Good luck stopping that. Ethan Dykes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Ethan writes, man, what the hell did they give Mahomes at half for that ankle? He looked juiced. Great game, though. Salutes to you, Lou, and here's to a new season. Cheers. Hashtag HTTC. They gave him Toradol. That's my guess. That's what we were saying on the stream when we were watching the game together, that he got a nice shot. I said this going into halftime. I said a shot is on deck, right? Shot of Toradol is on deck more likely than not, because you got the entire offseason to heal. If this were the championship game, maybe you don't give him the shot. You don't want to numb it and him injure it worse, right? You want him to feel the pain. You want him to be able to feel what's going on, so that if it gets to a point where he can't perform, you can bring in Chad Henne. You don't want it to, numb the pain to the point where he does worse damage to it, doesn't feel it, and then you get to it and he can't play in the Super Bowl now. Now, if he did something worse to it and it required surgery, guess what? You got the offseason, right? Like, we don't give a shit. Win the Super Bowl. He got a shot at halftime. The man was in excruciating pain coming off the field after he, rolled it a bit on that last third down that they had to punt. And then he goes he walked into the locker room with a slight less limp. It wasn't as pronounced as it was initially, but the dude was running for 20. He ran for like 17 yards on the play and didn't slide. And then he ran on that last possession. That was every bit of a 22-yard run. Get the specifics, get the particular on that Mahomes scramble. That was a 26-yard run, man. Like, he had 44 yards in this game rushing. Like, his legs are very underrated. When we talk about Patrick Mahomes, we talk about his escapability and his ability to extend plays as a passer. I don't think enough people give him credit for his mobility as a runner. He's a lot more spry than people give him credit for. I mean, 21 of 27, it wasn't a ton of yards, 182, but 21 of 27, only 6 incompletions, 3 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? I mean, he 44 yards rushing. I mean, he was outstanding in this game, man. He deserved to be league MVP, and he deserved to be Super Bowl MVP as well. Let's see. Mike, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Mike writes, "We will be back. Salute to the Chiefs. I want to be beat with no ref help. Fumble, special teams, Gannon. It's plenty of reasons. It is what it is." Again, I don't think this is a game where you can blame the officials. I mean, that one play, Eagles fans are going to point to that. Did I love the call? No. Was it a flag? Sure, it was. But did they have to throw it? No, they didn't have to throw it. At the end of the day, don't put this on the officials. That was one call, man. I mean, and again, that wasn't a call where the Chiefs were going to have to punt you the ball and you would have had a chance to win. All that call would have done was guarantee you an opportunity to get the ball back with a chance to win or potentially tie the game. It didn't guarantee you that you were going to win the game, okay? It's not like the Chiefs were down 2 and that flag came out on a 4th down and they got the ball back when it would have been incomplete and you would have won. You still had work to do. And it was one call, okay? Your defense was atrocious the entire game. The special teams gave up the big punt return, as you mentioned. There are other, ways to spread the blame around. If you want to give in this blame pie, if you want to slice off a piece for the officials on that last holding call, you're going to give them a 5% slice of the pie. Sure, knock yourself out. I'm not going to kill you for that. Okay, don't make it a bigger slice than 5% though. All right, you're going to give special teams a little bit of the blame. Knock yourself out. You give them 7% of the blame, right? That's fine. Knock yourself out. You want to give Jalen Hurts fumble a little slice of the pie? Sure. Go right ahead. Okay. Give Jalen Hurts a little slice of the pie. You can give him 3% of the blame pie. The other 85% goes to Jonathan Gannon and this defense. They were awful. That's where you should be putting most of your attention and energy and vitriol. That's where it should be going. Luck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MLB. First of all, Mike, though, salutes to you. Much respect for you showing up. Reeby, much respect. All the Eagles fans that show up here, much respect. It's easy after a loss like that. That's a tough one, too. It's easy not to show up, not to post after a loss like that. I get it. All right, it's easy not to post. So salutes to you, Mike. And I do think you'll be back. I just don't think you'll be back at that level. You won't be 14-3 next year. I assure you of that. But you could be 12-5 and still win the division next year. I'm not saying that can't happen. But you won't be 14-3 next year. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Luck. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, writes. Rihanna Voice. They just shot down a bird in Arizona in front of a big old crowd. Bird down. Feels good, Lou. Feels like we won the bowl. I don't take solace and take that as a victory when another team that I can't stand loses. Like, that's loser talk to me. No, I want them to lose. Don't get me wrong. But to say it felt like we won, those are the fans that bother me when Dallas loses and they get really excited and that's just as good as a Washington win. No, it's not. No, it's not. What the hell are you talking about? I'd much rather win than bask in the sorrows of another team and equal that to and rival that to and say that equals to a win of our own. Make no mistake about it. Did I prefer the Eagles to lose? Yes, but again, I told you I just wanted a good game. If the Eagles would have won, it would have been hell all season listening to Eagles fans. But guess what? They earned that. It would have been another. I would have said another Super Bowl in the division, another feather in the cap of the NFC East. I would have put a positive spin on it. But in no way, shape, or form does this feel as good as a Washington win. It doesn't feel like we won. Nah, not at all. It just feels good to not have to worry about hearing the Eagles fans talking about Super Bowl. They're still going to talk shit. We didn't play in the Super Bowl. You didn't make the playoffs. You're still going to hear that, right? That's not going to change. It's just you're not going to have to hear them because they get the last laugh because they win the Super Bowl. You can't say shit to them if they win the Super Bowl. Frankie, yo. Thank you for the Super Chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Sirianni crying before the game makes more sense now. He saw the script. Good one. Good one. 1 point for Frankie, yo. Good one. Good one. Good point. 1 point for Frankie, yo, on that one. Sirianni was definitely crying during the national anthem. That hit him hard. You know, I think he realized where he was and the journey to get there. And, you know, it was a surreal moment for him. But to Frankie Yo's point, maybe he saw the script. Hey, y'all are stupid as hell, man. Fat American. Thank you for the Super Chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Mahomes or Brady in his prime? I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm taking Mahomes. Because Brady couldn't move. You had to protect Tom Brady. Mahomes on one ankle is still more mobile than Tom Brady with two healthy feet. So, Mahomes can do things Brady could never dream of. Mahomes can throw no-look passes, sidearm, and put it pinpoint accurate. Brady is a different type of animal. He's a pocket passer. He's more of a throwback guy. Got to protect him. That sort of thing. Mahomes, things can break down a little bit. They can't be Super Bowl, whatever that was, 54, 53, where the Buccaneers just blitzed him and got to him. And there was no, he can't be under that kind of pressure. No quarterback can withstand that. But, if you don't get a great pressure on him or you get a little bit of pressure, he can step up, he can sidestep, he can elude and evade like he did tonight and extend. And Brady he couldn't do that. But Brady had great pocket mobility, able to slide left to buy an extra second to find a receiver, step up, slide left, step up, slide right, that kind of thing. But Mahomes' mobility, I think, is the difference. And then him being able to throw from multiple slot angles and all kinds of craziness that he does, the improvisation, the Brett Favre-like quality where he's out of the pocket, he's getting sacked. Hell, there was a throw tonight to Kelsey. He's getting hit by Jordan Davis. This is first possession of the third quarter where you're thinking, Mahomes, you need to protect yourself. He runs out of the pocket. Jordan Davis in his 330 pounds or whatever is falling on him, and he somehow sidearms it to Travis Kelsey, who makes a great shoe tops catch, but it's a hell of a throw. Brady could never do that. I take Mahomes, and he is in his prime right now. I take Mahomes. But that might not be a popular selection, but that's where I'm going with mine. Y'all know how I am about mobile quarterbacks and what I think they can do and what they bring to the table. DJ23, thank you for the Super Chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, that's what happens when you play with your food. Cry, Eagles, cry. So this wasn't playing with, it's not like they were up 13 with 3 minutes left in the third quarter and they let the Chiefs go on this crazy run. Chiefs had the football to start the second half. They were only down 10, and Mahomes is that dude, and Andy Reid is that guy, and they did what they've done for the life of their career together. They made magic. They did the thing that they always do. They score points. They carve up soft defenses and, made it look easy. And so this wasn't like the Eagles having, it's not like the Eagles, forced the Chiefs to punt up 10 and then the Eagles, ran the ball 3 times and punted. Trying to be conservative, they just couldn't get stops. But to your point, and I talked about this all season, they lacked the KI. And this is when KI would have been huge here, right? Because the KI would have kicked in after the Mahomes touchdown to cut it to a 3-point deficit at 24-21. You can't settle for a field goal there. KI kicks in and you're like, nah, we got to get our touchdown back. Every time you score, we score. Got to match you. You know, KI kicks in after Mahomes takes the lead, 28-27. Yeah, I got to have it back. You can't punt. You went 3 and out and punted. And they got the punt return and then scored the touchdown, went up 35-27. At some point, the killer instinct got to kick in, and they didn't have it. Barrett Downing, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, great game, Lou, but glad they made it to the sofa after all. So be a good host, LOL. I told you, I'm going to take care of everybody here. Yeah, we rarely make it to the playoffs, and as such, we're usually the hosts, and we're usually watching the postseason, and I always make sure I take care of my guests. So the Eagles, again, took them a while to get to the couch, but I had a drink waiting on them. Eagles, they like their popcorn with a little bit of caramel. That caramel salt. It's a little too sweet for me, right? But to each its own. I don't try to tell anybody how to, indulge in their snack of choice. They want a little bit of the caramel salt. And 2 shots of butter, just like Dallas. Pass the bag down, slid them their drink. They said, hey, what we watching? I was like, hey, new season of Harlem is out. Y'all trying to check that out? They was like, yeah, let's do it. So here we are. Reborn Soul Vibes. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, tough and disappointing loss defensively. Yet I am really proud of this team and organization. I feel we'll be contenders again. Great show, Lou. Thank you so much, Reby. And it's always good to talk to you. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. You should be really proud of this team, because I thought you had a chance to be good if Hurts was good. I didn't think he would be good, which is why I had you at 9-8. I said, if he's good, you're a 12-13 win team. You won 14 games. You got the number 1 seed. You smoked the rest of the conference en route to the Super Bowl. And then your offense played one of his best games of the season. Your quarterback played the best game I've ever seen him play. And it wasn't good enough because your defense was lousy. And special teams didn't chip in. And your quarterback did fumble. But again, he overcame that with the touchdowns that he scored and the way he played. I almost don't have to count it because it was 7 points. It directly led to 7 points. But he was so good, you just overlooked that fumble. Like, man, F that fumble. You know how you be sometimes, F them kids. F that fumble, man. The man scored all 4 of your touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. Threw for over 300. Was your leading rusher by a country mile. Okay? I forget about that. F that fumble, man. Howie's got this thing set up to where you should be in the mix again next year. I do not think you're going to be as dominant next year because you're not playing the same schedule. I think the teams in the division might get a little bit better. The Giants are going to be better next year, you would think. Washington could be better next year. No guarantees there. Dallas will be around. I don't think they're going to get any worse. We'll see what happens. But the schedule you play is going to be tougher. It's a tougher schedule next year. It's not the NFC South or North, rather, and the AFC South that you're going to contend with. You're going to play better teams next season, and we'll see how the Eagles handle it. I don't think they're going away, though. I don't think you're going away at all. And you should be proud of the organization and the team, and we will see how Nick Sirianni decides to, replace Shane Steichen, if he decides to take the head coaching job in Indianapolis. See how he replaces him. He was such a huge part of what you did this season. Do you have an in-house replacement? Is there somebody outside that he has in mind? We'll see. But that's the big hire, too, because of what Shane Steichen meant to this team this year. He really allowed Nick Sirianni to just manage the team, Will Sirianni have to be more involved in play calling next year without Shane Steichen being there? Well, no, we'll see. Thank you, Reby, as always. Jonathan Hankey, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Jonathan writes, what a good game, Lou. Too bad it was anticlimactic ending to a great Super Bowl. Right? It wasn't anticlimactic to me. The holding penalty did suck some of the life out of it, but it was going to be, I thought it was going to be a walk-off field goal regardless, you know. It just happened to be in that fashion. But Eagles had every opportunity to not, you know, have the ending be the way that it was. You know, they had opportunities and they didn't get it done. But what I'm seeing from you guys, the consistent thought is the holding penalty shouldn't have been called. I don't disagree with that. If you say, should they have called that a penalty? I say no. If you ask me, was it a penalty? I tell you, yeah, it was a penalty. It was holding. Yes, that's holding. But did you need to throw that flag there? No. The answer is no. No. Be consistent. You've been consistent all game. We had no judgment calls all game. Everything was black and white, clear as day. False start, offsides, hands to the face, things that you can't debate. Those were the penalties. There were no pass interferences, no illegal contacts, no holdings, none of that shit that has gray area. Then in the biggest play of the game defensively for Philadelphia, you decide to throw the flag. Don't love it. But still, it was a fantastic game. Andrew Summers. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Andrew writes, I knew the Eagles weren't that team when my Dallas Cowboys dropped 40 on them. We all know LB is going to say that it's Hurts' fault. Hashtag die Eagles die. LB is not going to say it's Hurts' fault. And I just played you LB talking a little bit about how good Jalen Hurts was in this game. And like I said, that was the best game I've ever seen Jalen Hurts play. LB literally echoed those sentiments. So he's not going down that road. But to your point, and I said this, when Dallas hung 40 on them, when Detroit put what they put up on it, and Detroit was week 1. So you might have been able to dismiss that. Dallas did it in like week 15 or so. You know, week 15, 16, something like that. I saw offenses that were capable. Green Bay did it to them on a Sunday night, but they ran for like 360 yards or whatever. So it diminished what Green Bay did on offense. But Green Bay was moving it up and down the field on them and making it look easy. This Eagles defense, and I said it after these games, and Eagles fans dismissed me because they won the game and they didn't want to hear from me because I was a hater. But I'm like, I'm telling you, this shit is going to bite you in the ass because everybody's good in the AFC. You can make it to the Super Bowl because the NFC, it ain't shit over here on the NFC side of the bracket. That's why I was like, if Washington can get in, we'll see what happens because it ain't shit on that side of the bracket. But I said, in order to win a Super Bowl, you're going to have to beat one of these dudes. Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, one of these high-powered offenses. You're going to have to beat one of these dudes that can score. And if you bring that sorry-ass defense that ain't getting to the quarterback, because that's what you are, a sorry-ass defense that ain't get to the quarterback. When you get into the quarterback, your shit is all pro. I mean, no, your shit is all Madden. When you get into the quarterback, when you up big and you know they're not running, you pin your ears back, you run all these creative twists and stunts, your shit is on all Madden. But when you ain't getting pressure, your shit is on pro. I mean, that shit alive. We saw that tonight. Jonathan Hankey, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Jonathan writes, glad my Colts made the right choice in picking Shane Steichen as our head coach, but sucks for the Arizona Cardinals taking Jonathan Gannon as their head coach. LOL. Is that a thing? Is that a real thing? I didn't think they had chosen their head coach because I really want him to stay in Philadelphia because Jonathan Gannon is ass. Is that a real thing? I didn't think the Arizona Cardinals had made their decision as head coach yet. Cardinals head coach search could be waiting for Jonathan Gannon. They're going to interview him. But that doesn't mean he's going to get the job. I'd love after this performance. I wonder if their outlook on him changed at all. I don't know. We'll see. You got the right one. I know that. Of the two coordinators, you definitely got the right one. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Fat American. Double up. Thank you for doubling up rights. Eagles fans are insufferable. Sorry, but it's true. No, there's no reason to be sorry there. Most Eagles fans, not all of them. You saw my girl Reby, my guy Mike tonight. Philly fan 34, all of those we rock with them, right? It's the ones that want to come here after a big win or after a lousy loss for our team and want to come in and just put a bunch of eagle emojis or talk shit. Those are the ones that are in some. Those people won't show up tonight. You won't hear from them. You won't hear from them until the next Super Friends stream, and they will want to come in and talk shit. You won't hear from them until then. They're cowards, right? And I get it. After a loss like this, you get a pass. You don't have to show up tonight. I get that. It's tough. You go through the entire season. You think you're going to win the Super Bowl. You're up 10 at halftime, and then you lose. It's tough. But, Alex, he's a good dude as well. I don't expect him to show up tonight, but he's a good dude. It's some good Eagles fans out there. There are others, countless others that I rock with. Heavy. But there are a lot more. They're outnumbered probably like 8-1. Assholes to good fans. It's like 8-1, maybe 20-1. For each one of those, Lux and Reeby's and Mike's and Philly fan 34 and all those, there's probably 20 assholes. Maybe 100. Anyway, yeah, Eagles fans are insufferable. And you don't need to apologize for that. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Fat American. Right. I wonder, what if EB takes the OC job because he knows Ron is on the hot seat? If Ron gets let go, but the offense does well, maybe he becomes the head coaching candidate. That's another layer to this. Like, all of that should play into the decision-making process. I've talked about that. There's a chance that Ron gets fired in season. He becomes the interim head coach, does a great job, and he's in serious consideration for being the head coach the next year. Like, all of that is in play. Facts. We'll see what happens. Him winning the Super Bowl puts him in being on the Super Bowl winning team puts him in a great spot. Puts him in a great position. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, why Joe Rockhead mean mugging in his picture? Hey, look, he needed to let y'all know, hey, I'm not that guy. All right. I'm not that guy. All right. Just so you know, you don't really want the smoke over here. So he said, on a side note, LB was not answering any super chats and he was crying. F him, cry Eagles cry. So you saw, I watched him. You guys probably went over, took a look at him, saw what he was talking about. He's quick. When they lose, he's quick. So that was 25 minutes. When I went over and checked this video, he was done. It was 25 minutes. He was in and out. Said what he needed to say, got out. Didn't want to talk. Only did it because he had to post. He had to be present. But I'm not staying on long because he's distraught. I remember he told me I had on I forgot what he told me when I was too little to enjoy the Super Bowl. He was out drinking the last time they won the Super Bowl. He'll be drinking tonight, but not because they won the Super Bowl. He'll be drinking tonight, but not because they won the Super Bowl. I do take a little solace in knowing that he thought they was going to win the Super Bowl. He thought they was going to win the Super Bowl. And remember, I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I meant this. I said, I don't know what's worse. I think I know what's worse. But whatever hurts the most, that's what I want for Eagles fans. Making it to the Super Bowl and then losing, or losing in the NFC Championship game. Which one hurts worse? Clearly the answer is losing in the Super Bowl. Nothing hurts worse than that, right? You get 2 weeks to build this shit up. You convince yourself we're going to win and why you're going to win. And it culminates in this one game. And you're up 10 at halftime, and Mahomes is limping into the halftime locker room. Who didn't think the Eagles were going to win at that point? Looked damn good for the Eagles at that point. Mahomes comes out of the locker room and shreds you. Shreds you. And it was a role reversals of sorts, because the Eagles dominated the football in the first half. They didn't touch it that much in the second half. They scored a field goal on their opening possession of the half. They punted on the second possession of the half. And then Hurts threw the touchdown pass and the 2-point conversion on their third and final possession. That last possession doesn't count, where he just threw the ball up. And isn't that an illustration of how lousy of an arm Hurts has? I mean, that ball didn't even make it to the 30-yard line. What the hell was that? What throw was that, right? But that's not who Jalen Hurts is, you know? Anyway, they had it 3 legitimate times in the second half, the Eagles. 3! It was a role reversal. The Chiefs had it 3 times in the first half. That was it. So, yeah. It's crazy, man. This game was wild. The Phillies ace, 34. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, man. The Phillies ace, 34 writes, Louie, Hurts was fantastic. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Kudos to the offense. Gannon can kick rocks, which you said was our potential downfall, and it happened in the Super Bowl. Been talking about it all year. Fans hear what they want to hear. Eagles fans and people out there, they hear what they want to hear. All right. There are statements that I make, and I told you I'm not right about everything. Right. So there are things I say, and you focus on that. You pick at the stuff that I was wrong about. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So you miss the shit that's a gem. You miss the thing that I'm trying to tell you. You need to be focused. You need to be worried about this. This is a problem. You can't stop the run. This is a problem. If you're not getting to the quarterback, your secondary and linebackers are a liability. This is a problem. Jonathan Gannon as a coordinator, this is a problem. You should be worried about this, because you're not going to be playing Washington and the Giants and Chicago and Indy and Houston. You're not playing them in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, rather. You're not playing those teams in the Super Bowl. You're playing Burrow or Mahomes or Allen in the Super Bowl, more likely than not. You better have it together. Now, the worst thing that happened was the Chiefs winning, because had it been Cincinnati can't run the ball. Eagles wouldn't have to worry about that. And their line isn't good. The Eagles would have gotten after Joe Burrow. That would have been a great matchup for them. But the Chiefs built this offensive line, and I thought they played really good tonight. I expected the Eagles to get a little bit more pressure. I'm not totally wowed by the Chiefs' offensive line, but it's good. It's a good line. They built this line. After what happened to Mahomes in the 20 Super Bowl against Tampa, they built this line. Between the draft and free agency, they spent money and resources on that line. And you saw what it proved to be for them in this game. But make no mistake about it. Offensively, you played well enough to win in this game. And truth be told, with the performance you had on offense, you would win 90% of the games you play in. Probably 95% of the games you play in. You're not going to lose many games playing the way you played on offense today, except if your defense plays the way they played tonight. And then you throw in the Jalen Hurts fumble, you throw in the punt return. Those things don't help. But again, that was a third down quarterback draw that he got stopped on when he fumbled. If you punt the ball, who's to say your defense gets a stop there? I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. The punt return, they were going to score a touchdown regardless. I mean, you could say that maybe they could have had a penalty or anything could have happened, a batted ball in the air gets picked, anything could happen. You're right. But the way the second half went, they're going to drop that ball down the field and score any dang way. So, Jonathan Gannon is public enemy number one. I hope he doesn't get the head coach job in Arizona. I hope he's back in Philadelphia next year. God forbid somebody take him off your hands and allow you to get a new defensive coordinator. No. I need him there next year. I need him there. Steichen can go. He's good. I need him gone. Gannon, you stay. Stay and play a while. And it happened in the Super Bowl. I've been telling you this all year long, and it happened in the worst possible game that it could have happened in. My guy, the Phillies Ace 34, salutes to you as well. Really appreciate you. Big Money Sonny. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny. Double up. Thank you for doubling up rights. Rip to Trugoy the Dove from De La Soul, a young 54. Is that a thing? Did he pass away? Wow. I've had a couple of big ones while I was live happen. If that's true, I think when I was live, we lost. I want to say we lost. Oh my God. Why am I blanking on his name? Oh my God. Humpty Dumpty. So the from Digital Underground. Why am I blanking on his name? I don't know why I can't think of it. But he died while I was on the live stream too. I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody broke the news while we were live that he had passed away. If that's true, man, 54 is way too young, man. Way, way too young. Let's see. Jake Hutton. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jake, thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Mahomes, Brady, Manning, Montana, only QBs to have at least 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowl rings. Patty Mahomes already being a Hall of Famer at 27 is wild. This is the thing. When somebody asked earlier, is he top 5? He's 27 years old. Listen to what Jake just said. Brady, Manning, and Montana. These are 3 of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. When we talk about the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, like, if those 3 aren't on it, Brady and Manning are definitely on it. Montana may or may not be in your Mount Rushmore. Probably is. Mahomes is already in that conversation. He's 27. He's already won 2 Super Bowls. It took Peyton Manning to play with the Denver Broncos with a compromised neck and shoulder where he couldn't even throw the ball 10 yards to just be a passenger in Super Bowl 50 to beat the Panthers to get his 2nd Super Bowl ring. Mahomes already has 2 in 5 years as a starter. Understand what he's done in this short period of time. It's wild. To Jake's point, it is wild that we're having that conversation already. It's crazy. John Perez, my guy JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. JP writes, greetings, Lou. Greetings, JP. Congrats to the Chiefs and their fans for their Super Bowl win. 2 questions. Mahomes' legacy is cemented, right? And is Washington getting Bieniemy? Mahomes' legacy was already cemented before this Super Bowl. But when you win multiple Super Bowls, you enter into a different stratosphere. There's a lot of quarterbacks in the league that have won. Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl win, you know. Drew Brees won one Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers won one Super Bowl. Like, a lot of quarterbacks got one. Not many have multiple. Now you enter into a different conversation. All right. Eli has two. Peyton has two. You know, there are a number of quarterbacks with two. And he's only in year 5 as a starter. There'll probably be a third and maybe a fourth, possibly a fifth. Now we're talking about greatest of all time. Now we're heading into a different conversation. He wins one more, and it's Aikman, it's Bradshaw, it's Montana, and it's Brady. That's probably the company that he'll be keeping. That's it. There's not a lot of guys that have won 3 or more Super Bowls in NFL history. So he's one Super Bowl win away from passing a lot of guys, the Mannings, you know, and all these quarterbacks with 2 Super Bowl rings. He's one more win away from passing a lot of dudes and going into like elite company. Elway has 2, right? Like, a lot of dudes have 2. Not many have more than 2. Okay, so he's one more. He's in year 5 as a starter. Yes, his legacy is cemented. If he retired today, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer. Surefire. Is Washington getting Bieniemy? I think so, but we'll see. You know, Baltimore is still interested. Like, don't count out the Ravens, but yeah. I think so. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Dejan writes, Andy, a real one for shouting out Eric when he could. However, I'm excited for these next few years to come in the NFC. It's going to be a great window for us to make a Super Bowl appearance. Let's just try making the Super Bowl and having a winning record in 2 consecutive years first. Let's get to the playoffs once and then follow that up with another playoff season. Let's do that first before we can start talking about Super Bowl windows and this, that, and the third. The Eagles actually have made it to the Super Bowl twice in the last 5-6 years. So they can make those kinds of statements. The Giants have a playoff win. So they can make that kind of a statement. Hell, even Dallas has a playoff win. We don't. So we of all the teams in the division, we don't get to make those kinds of statements and claims. All we can say is, hey, windows open for us to be a good competitive team. You know, you're expecting ownership change this year. What that brings, we don't know, but that's a start. That's a start. J Mark, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. J Mark writes, EB is OC. How likely is that? Cheers, LT, HTTC. Cheers. How likely is it that Eric Bieniemy becomes the offensive coordinator? So he's going to be a coordinator somewhere. He's not going back to Kansas City after this. This is it for him. They're pushing him out the door. He's going to have to find work somewhere else. Is it Baltimore or is it Washington is what it really boils down to at this point. He'll be an offensive coordinator somewhere. I find it hard to believe that both of these teams will say, no, you have him. No, you have him. No, you have him. No, I'm good. You keep him. You know, I don't see that happening. Somebody's going to give Eric Bieniemy an opportunity to be an offensive coordinator of his own this year. Will it be Washington? We'll see what Eric Bieniemy does in the interview. Clearly, that hasn't been his strong suit, which is why he hasn't gotten a head coaching job. So we'll see how he does in this offensive coordinator interview. And if that wows anybody and if they decide to give him an opportunity. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, cry, Eagles, cry. All these Eagles fans were talking reckless while in my city for the Super Bowl. Mahomes might be the Brady of this new generation. Now that this is over with, send Bieniemy our way, Chiefs. Hashtag HTTC. Salud. Hey, look, the Eagles, they've been on 10, man. And again, just put yourself in their shoes. If your team was in the Super Bowl, you'd be on 10-2. I told you, I'd be on 10 million if we make it to the damn Super Bowl. I'd be insufferable. If we had the type of season the Eagles had, Eagles fans, Cowboys fans, Giants fans alike would hate my guts. Because I'm talking cold, hard cash, and my team is ass. What do you think I'm going to do if my team's actually good? Give me a break. So, trust me, it can get real ugly real fast. Now, the difference between me and some other fans of other teams is I'm not looking to be malicious towards other fan bases. I don't have any interest in that. I'm just going to be hyping up my squad, right? I don't have any reason to go after Cowboys fans. Now, if you come at me, then I'm going to eat your ass alive. But I'm looking to hype my squad up. I'm not looking to demean yours, you know. But in any event, Mahomes might be the Brady of this new generation. He might be. It's too early to crown him because Brady's career was built on longevity. Like LeBron and his greatness, I think it's substance in it, but it's more about longevity. He's like Tom Brady to me in the sense that Tom had that longevity and he set records that, you know, people probably won't break because they won't play as long and be as consistent as he was for the duration of his career. Same with LeBron. You know, that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, most points scored in NBA history record that he just set. He's going to play another 2 or 3 years. That thing's going to be at 40,000 when he's done. Nobody's going to break that record, or at least that's the way we feel. Because you're going to have to play 20-plus years, averaging 27 points a game, and you know, do it without getting hurt and being consistent for that many years. It's hard to do, right? Mahomes is going to have to display that kind of longevity if he wants to be in that Brady conversation. But he's well on his way. You know, he's well on his way with the way he started. Now you can get the Eagles fans out of your city, man, and send them home with an L. And we'll see if the Chiefs send Bieniemy our way or not. We'll see. Alex, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. If this is really Alex, surprised to see you. I'm not gonna lie, but props to you. Big ups. Salute to you. Hell of a season for your Eagles. You thought your Eagles could be really good this season, and they were. Alex writes, thanks for all the hard work you put in this year, Lou. Hope you go hard with the draft content now. I also just sent you a DM with my thoughts on the game. Let's see. I don't mind reading that right now. Let me see how long it is first, because a lot of times when y'all tell me that, y'all are sending it to my DM because it's a War and Peace novel, and that's cool too. I don't mind. Yeah, this is pretty damn long. I can knock it out though. Our guy Alex writes, great game. Jalen balled out. I would have expected we won if you would have told me he had more TDs and 148 more yards passing, 122 more passing, and 26 more rushing than Mahomes. So 148 total yards of offense more than Mahomes. I would have said the same thing. I mean, I said before the game, Jalen Hurts won't throw for 300-plus yards in this game. If he does, I would have told you the Eagles are going to win the game. That is unless he got into a shootout, which I said you do not want to get into a shootout with the Chiefs. He said, that false start followed by the fumble recovered for a touchdown made my stomach sink because I knew that could be the difference. That was a huge play in the game. It went from what was going to be a quarterback sneak and a first down, because they couldn't stop you on that, to a 3rd and 6, which he then fumbled. Not sure how many teams have beat the Chiefs when their defense gets a score. The Bradbury penalty was ticky-tack, and I think in that situation the refs should swallow the whistle unless it's egregious, but not blaming that for why we lost. I agree wholeheartedly with that. That's the perfect way to sum that up. Is it ticky-tack? Sure. Is it a flag? Yes. Yes. All right. By the letter of the law, that's a flag. But should we be calling that right there? No. I mean, it has to be egregious, right? But he says he's not blaming, and he shouldn't be blaming the refs. I was disappointed for Jalen that he didn't get another opportunity to try and tie it up. With the way he was playing, that's all you would have asked for as an Eagles fan, right? At the end of the day, Reed ran circles around Gannon in the second half. Chiefs defense did enough. Credit to their trenches for 6 yards per carry on the ground and holding us to 3.6 yards per carry. Our trenches were the talk coming into this, but theirs showed up more today. I think the field affected our pass rush, especially guys good at turning the corner like Reddick and Sweat. I saw Sweat on like one of the first third downs of the game slip, and I'm like, he was turning the corner on Brown's ass on that play if he doesn't slip. So I think you were onto something there. But it negatively affects both pass rushes and help both offensive lines, so can't be too upset about that. Great point. The Cardinals should be ashamed at the field conditions, though. Both teams were slipping everywhere all game. If we didn't win 5 years ago, I'd probably be more distraught at how this ended. But only one team can win, and the Chiefs did what they needed to do to pull it out. Credit to them. Credit to them, as a wise man once said. Have a ton of respect for that team, from the front office to the coach to the quarterback. These were the two best teams in the league this year, and they put on a show tonight. Couldn't agree with you more there. This is a great comment from our guy, Alex. Wouldn't expect anything less. Also, I don't know what you think, but I wanted to go for it on the 4th and short, even though we were at our own 32-yard line before we punted it to Tony. I know that is a dangerous proposition, but I felt a lot better about us converting on short yardage, which we've been the best at all year, as opposed to stopping Mahomes, even if they didn't have a huge punt return. I thought in the moment I said that there is a chance that they may go fake punt here or look for something just because it was a short situation. And I think punting in that situation is the right thing. Because the Chiefs had so much success in the second half, they probably were going to score anyway, but you can't give it to them right there at that point of the field. It's like the risk is a lot greater than the reward, because let's say you convert that, but then the next set of downs you punt. Then the risk, again, that's why the risk isn't as great, because when you go for it around midfield, let's say at the opposing team's 48-yard line, it's 4th and 4. You go for it there and you convert. The likelihood is you converting that first down means you're going to end up with points, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown is up to you and what you do moving forward. But you're going to get something out of this drive, whereas if you would have punted, you wouldn't have gotten anything. Backed up that way, if you go for it and you convert, the next set of downs could produce a punt anyway. And so you got to think about it. Is the risk worth the reward? You don't score there. Again, we didn't know the punt return from Kadarius Toney was coming. You know, he cut that thing back, but he broke a tackle to cut it back. That guy makes the tackle. The Chiefs have to go, 67 or 70 yards or whatever to score a touchdown. Who's to say that happens? The likelihood is that it probably happens with the way you were playing defense tonight, but make them do it. Make them do it. You theoretically, in its hindsight, it's easy to pick that decision apart now. I think it was the right decision to punt, personally. I would have punted in that situation. It was too early to be gambling like that in the game, even though the momentum was definitely trending towards the Chiefs. I think that punt came late stages of the third, maybe early stages of the fourth. I think it was like 12 minutes. I think the Chiefs scored that touchdown to go up 8 with roughly like 12 minutes or so in the fourth. So that punt probably would have come late stages of the third, early stages of the fourth, whatever the case may be. It's too early. It's too much time left in the game, I think, to go for it there. But to your point, short yardage, they had no answers for you. You were 2 of 2 on 4th down. You were 11 for 18 in the game. And I would say anything under 3 yards, you probably might have been perfect. If not perfect, you ran it to a 4th and 1 situation that you converted anyway. So I don't know if they would have stopped you on 4th and 2, but punting, I think, was the right thing to do there, Alex. But great comment, great post there from you, Alex. And salute to you. Great season. And I think your offense showed out tonight. And I think you guys will be around next year. I don't think you'll be as dominant as you were this year, but I don't think you're going away. Not with Hurts. If he's playing the way he played tonight, you're not going anywhere. Quarterbacks make a difference in this league, and you look like you have a legitimate one. Michael Miller, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Michael writes, a penalty should always be called, whether it's in the beginning, middle, or end. Eagles fans, suck it up, Buttercup. You're not wrong. I'm not telling you to not do your job. As an official, a flag is a flag is a flag. If it's a penalty, throw the flag. In the NBA, a foul is a foul is a foul. Whenever it happens, first quarter with 7:22 to go, third quarter with 3:17 left, or fourth quarter with 2 seconds left. If it's a foul, it's a foul. But guess what? In the NBA, chances are, if it's last possession of the game, they're going to swallow that whistle. It's human nature. You don't want to be that guy to make that call in that situation. Let the players on the court decide to play the outcome of the game. And that's why you got to learn how to shoot. Because going to the rim, like I tell Ja all the time, I say, Ja, bro, you're not going to get the call in the playoffs. You're going to have to perfect that free throw line, maybe a step in floater. You're not getting all the way to the rim. They're going to beat you up, and you're not going to get the call. He learned that in the playoffs last year. Same thing in the NFL, okay? Yep, a flag should be called whenever it happens. If it's a penalty, throw the flag. But in those type of situations, most officials don't want to be that guy. We saw that Saints and Rams game, right? Where they didn't throw the flag. And they changed the rule for a year. Knee-jerk reaction, changed the rule of pass interference to being reviewed, right? You could review that. Terrible decision to do that. The 1 year experiment, they realized we can't do this. This is terrible. And they went back to the way that it was, of a non-reviewable call. But anything that's subjective, you gotta, I feel like, officiate late in ball games. Anything that's subjective, if it's clear, if it's a legal formation, offsides, hands to the face, like anything we can see. This isn't black and this isn't gray. This is black and white. Call it. But if it's a subjective call and it's not egregious, like everyone should be on pretty much the same accord saying, okay, yeah, that's a flag. Yeah, shit, you gotta throw the flag or not. If we're debating back and forth whether it should be called or not, you probably shouldn't have called it. Probably shouldn't have called it. But I hear you. It was a flag, but could it have not been called? Sure, could have not been called. Michael Miller, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, remember Eagles fans upset about losing the Super Bowl. You can always replay it on Madden football. Can always do it again, right? Do it over again till you win. Except this isn't a video game. Joe Rockhead, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I am smiling. Black, quote, Black Dynamite. Hey, he's actually happy. You can't see it in his face, but he's actually smiling. Take his word for it. Joshua Drake, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, left hand up. Great victory for Washington tonight. See, that's the kind of stuff I can't get with. Because Washington didn't play tonight. As a fan, do you take excitement, enjoyment in Eagles suffering? Sure. Absolutely. I don't see, my joy doesn't come from, because of what I do, my joy doesn't come from the Eagles losing. As a fan, that shit doesn't. I wanted the Eagles to lose more in the Super Bowl they beat the Patriots than tonight, because that was them getting their first Super Bowl. I wanted to be able to say, bitch, you don't get to come to the Super Bowl party. You don't have one. They already got one now. They're already in. Now I'm just like, it's whatever. If they would have won tonight, cool, they got another Super Bowl. My point would have still been, hey, you ain't got three. You still ain't catch up to us. Their argument would have been, you ain't been to a Super Bowl in over 30 years. Shut up. We won 2 in the last 6 years. Come talk to me. Touche. I would have still been, hey, we still got 3. Catch up. You're losing. But I get it. I get excitement and more relief knowing that I don't have to hear Eagles fans' mouth about winning the Super Bowl. I'm more relieved about that than actually excited that they lost. Washington didn't win tonight. They didn't play tonight. I just don't have to hear Eagles fans' mouth. That's my perspective. As a Washington fan, I can't tell you how to feel. You might feel like Washington won. Somebody earlier said, I think it was Big Money Sonny said, felt like Washington won tonight. Or somebody else. I mean, that's fine if you felt like this was as good as a win. Felt like a win. He didn't say it was as good as a win. It felt like Washington won tonight. I don't feel that way. My team didn't play. I told you I didn't have a dog in the fight. Would I prefer the Eagles to lose? I already made that abundantly clear. Yes. I just wanted to see a good game. That's all I really cared about. And we got that. We got that. Shock G. Thank you for all of y'all out there. Shock G. I think I was live when Shock G passed from Digital Underground. And that shit hit me hard. I was like, stop playing. Like, I never want to believe when people say stuff because people be trolling in the streams. So I always got to go to my mobile device to check to make sure that that's legit. That's a tough one. 54, that's a tough one, if that's true. Starface, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, should we try and sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in free agency? Eagles aren't going to allow him to leave. Trust me. He isn't going anywhere. If they have to, they don't have another player that they have to put the franchise tag on. If they have to franchise tag him, they will. They'll get a deal done with him, though. I don't see him going anywhere. I've already told you guys this. When you trade for a player, a lot of times, now they didn't give up big draft capital, which is amazing. The Saints, I don't know what the hell they were doing. They pretty much gave him away for, it wasn't a hot ham and cheese sandwich that was cold in a half-eaten bag of chips and a juice box with no straw. It wasn't quite that, but I had some Chipotle yesterday, and it's like they fried my chips in water. They were soggy. They had no crunch to them. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? I can't get jiggy with this shit. What am I supposed to do with this? I had a bowl here with pretty much no chips. This is bullshit. When you trade for a player, you're looking to hold on to that guy. You're not looking to let him walk. Especially that what the Eagles essentially gave up was a bag of water-fried Chipotle chips for him. They got to steal, and they're not going to give it away. And he was phenomenal. That hit he put on Pacheco tonight, are you kidding me? Yeah, Chauncey Gardner. And one thing Washington feels good about right now is their safety position. They got young boys. I mean, I don't know how good they are, but they got young boys that they feel good about. Cam Curl, Derek Forrest, Percy Butler. They feel good about those three. I don't see them spending money at that position. If they're going to spend money, it's going to be on retaining Cam Curl. So, Mike Masters, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, did you see the news they already put in for an interview after the presser? Bieniemy is not coming to be our OC. I haven't seen anything. So I don't know anything. I don't know what's going on. I don't know any Mike Masters, so that feels real luckish. It's really random. So I'm going to assume that's luck. I don't know about anything that's happened. My guess is nothing's happened because teams don't move that quickly. After somebody's won the Super Bowl, the last thing, if I'm Eric Bieniemy, the last thing I'm thinking about right now is interviewing for an offensive coordinator position. I can worry about that tomorrow when I wake up after I partied my ass off tonight. So he's enjoying this Super Bowl, and then he'll worry about the particulars of what he's going to do, what his next move is going to be tomorrow. So I'm just going to assume that that's luck. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jamal writes, hey, Lou, just wanted to say blessings to all, HTTC. Likewise, salute. Blessings to all out there, man. Indeed. Joe Rockhead J. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Joe Rockhead J writes, Ron steps down as head coach, stays GM, hires Bieniemy as head coach. They hire Thomas as OC. Ron's plan. Yeah, right. Ron's not going to be anywhere near this organization. I don't know if you guys saw this, and I'll elaborate on it, but did you see the Sean Payton interview that he did where he talked about being contacted by potential bidders for the Washington franchise that had already contacted him and said, hey, if I get this, if I win this, if I'm awarded this franchise, I'm firing him and I want to hire you. Hey, I'm going to leave it at that. I'll talk more about that another time. I'll let you dream, though. I'll let you dream. Starface, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Starface. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Right. Imagine all the QBs that will try to mimic Mahomes. He changed the NFL forever. It's not good enough to just have a good arm, but to be able to throw off of any platform is the new standard. I think Patrick Mahomes is the Steph Curry of the NFL. I said this 2 years ago when Curry was winning, NBA championships like left and right, and he revolutionized the way the game is played. Now you got to defend as soon as guys cross half court. Damian Lillard wasn't shooting threes from damn near half court before Steph Curry started doing the shit. He started this phenomenon where you got to start picking up guys pretty much at half court. Because if you don't, these guys have range where it's a jump shot for them. 36 feet away from the basket is a jump shot. That's a regular mid-range jumper for some of these dudes. I watched Spencer Dinwiddie the other night against the Philadelphia 76ers from about roughly 34, 35 feet away from the basket. Set his feet. Now, he only had 9/10 of a second and it ended up not counting because he took too long. And I knew it wasn't good because he took too long. Like, he literally set his feet. But the man shot a regular jumper from about roughly 34, 35 feet away from the basket. And nothing but bottoms. 25 years ago, that's a heave, bro, off of 1 foot for some. That's a heave. That ain't a regular. That John Stockton, think about John Stockton's shot to beat the Houston Rockets in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, or was it Game 6? I think it was Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. Back in 1990, I think it was 7. And how he shot that shot. John's leaning. He's putting everything he's got. He's leaning into that shot. He's like 29 feet away from the basket. He's leaning into that bitch with everything he's got. These dudes are shooting set shots from 36 and draining it. Steph Curry changed the game forever. Kids coming up, it doesn't matter if you're 5'9" or you're 7'2". Now you're shooting threes. Game has changed forever, and Steph Curry ushered in that change. I feel the same way about Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. He ushered in a new way of playing the quarterback position. And I don't think it's the standard now. Like, you have to be able to throw 3 quarters, but they welcome that. They're looking for that. They want to say, hey, he's the next Mahomes. Why do you think we're hearing that about Caleb, the dude at USC? Is it Williams? This is like Caleb, whatever. I don't think his name is Williams. Whatever the hell his name is. Is it Caleb Williams or it's Caleb something? He was compared to Mahomes, and he said, I feel like I'm like Patrick Mahomes. And he does have a little bit to that, and I don't like him. I don't want to like him, but damn, he's good. He's really good. There's a hint of Patrick Mahomes to his game. Teams are looking for that. They're looking for that quality now. There's only one Mahomes. There's only one Steph Curry. But we're looking for guys that have that kind of quality to their game. JR, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. JR writes, what did you think about the new Fox scoreboard? I've loved everything that Fox has done. Fox has been ahead of the game. They still don't have better HD quality than CBS for whatever reason. But they were the first ones to go to that tight little shot and be super HD and clear. They were the first ones to do that. They were the first ones to go to the like comic book look for these players. You know, when they show their picture, that was dope to me. A lot of what they've done has been like out and ahead of the curve. And so I tend to really like what Fox is doing. And it looked good. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, nah, Lou, you stay on win, lose for 4. Don't forget draw. Shit, we had a tie. Okay. Don't forget about those. Win, lose, and draw. God damn it. 4+ hours. LB needs to take his medicine. Look, you can't hold him to the standard, to my standard. We're two different people. We're two different people. First of all, I don't even know if LB does long streams that are that long anyway. Like, I don't really, know what he's out here doing, but you can't ask everyone to do that. Everyone's not wired that way. That's what you're accustomed to getting from me. He might be a 25 to 30-minute guy after a game, regardless of the outcome. I know for like Bad Dog can do, 10-hour streams, but after games, he does a quick little, recap because usually he does the play-by-play of the game or whatever. So after the game, he does like a 10, 15-minute, recap, and he's out of there, So to each its own. That doesn't make him any less of a content creator or any, or a poor sport or anything like that. Losing in the Super Bowl sucks, man. I can only imagine. I've never experienced that as a fan. The only Super Bowl loss that Washington had, I wasn't born yet. I've never experienced what it's like to make it all the way to the Super Bowl and lose. So I can only imagine that sucks the worst. Let's see. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, I'm going to keep it real, Lou. Eagles did their thing, and they came very close. Us, we have a ways to go. It starts up top. We sticking with the change the narrative next year. Well, look, Dan getting fired Dan selling the team is the first thing that needs to happen. And then we'll go from there. I don't know if changing the narrative is what I'd go with next year, because part of changing the narrative might be getting rid of Ron, might be changing up everything. I don't know. We'll see. That's one of those when the spirit hits you type of things. Like, you don't plan that in advance. It just happens organically. At least that's the way you'd like it to. You'd like it to be a grassroots effort there, kind of happen organically. And well, we'll see what it turns out to be. They had a chance to change the narrative this year. They didn't do it. We might have to come up with something different next year. We'll see. We got a ways to go. I always tell you guys, hey, pay close attention to the playoffs. It gives you a real sense of how far away or maybe how close we are. if you watch the playoffs, you realize we got a ways to go. I watched that wild card weekend game between the Giants and the Vikings, and I said, we wouldn't have done what the Giants did offensively against Minnesota. Maybe our defense would have been a little bit better against them. I don't know, because they held Justin Jefferson to next to nothing in that game. He shredded us, even though I felt like, that was one of those coming of age games for Benjamin St. Juste. He still cooked us for like 11 catches for 141 yards. But you get a second crack at a team and you change up some things, because I think he cooked them the first time they played each other, and then they had a plan for his ass the second time. But we wouldn't have done what the Giants did offensively in that game. They were fantastic. We're far from that. So we got a ways to go. Eagles were outstanding on offense tonight in particular. All right. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this Super Bowl 57 overtime recap. What a fantastic football game we were treated to tonight. Chiefs get the win 38-35 over the Philadelphia Eagles. This was a matchup between the two best teams in football, both number one seeds. They showed this stat, this chyron of statistics, that these two teams were evenly matched, as evenly matched as it gets. Wins on the season record, overall record, they were both 14-3 in the regular season, both 2-0 in the postseason, so 16-3 overall on the season. They both had like 546 points scored during the regular season. They both had like 6 All-Pros or something like that. Like, the numbers were staggering that were exactly identical. And it came down to a last-second field goal, which is how you want the Super Bowl to unfold. This was a 10-point game at halftime with Mahomes hobbled. It looked like it was trending towards a potential another Philadelphia Eagles ass thrashing, but Mahomes, Andy Reid, and company did what they do best, and that's make adjustments, figure it out, and get it done. They did it again on the biggest stage, and for the second time in his career, Andy Reid is a Super Bowl winning head coach. For the second time in his career, Patrick Mahomes is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And for the second time in his career, Patrick Mahomes is a Super Bowl MVP. They get it done, 38-35. I just got to say this one more time before I go. Jalen Hurts was spectacular tonight. Cannot be understated. And if that's any indication of what he's going to be moving forward, the NFC, not just the NFC East, the NFC as a conference has their work cut out for them. Because one of my, overarching themes has been, hey, it's none of these young boys in the NFC. We don't have the shit that they got in the AFC, where you got Herbert, you got Allen and Mahomes and Burrow. And if Watson gets back to who he was before the suspension, Watson, and, we could go on and on. We don't know what Mac Jones is going to be, but Trevor Lawrence is coming. Like, it's a lot out there, man, And then you look at the NFC and you're like, it's like, woo, wow, wow, wow. It's like a Wild Wild West with the little, thing, blowing in the wind. I forgot what those little things are called. They look like little wheat straw balls or whatever, and that's blowing, and it's nobody out there because it's about to be a gunfight. It's just dead silent. That's the NFC. Like, it's no young boys out here. It was all aging, wily veterans. It was Tom Brady. It was Aaron Rodgers. It was Drew Brees. Well, Brees is gone. Brady's gone, and now Rodgers may be gone in a trade. There's nobody left. This conference is left to whomever can claim it. Well, Hurts is like, if nobody else wants it, maybe I'll take the shit. I don't know. We'll see. But it's nobody over here. Maybe Hurts is over here now. That was a hell of a statement in tonight's game. I'll just say that. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the final overtime of the 2022-2023 season. What a ride it was. And perfect exclamation for what was a fantastic season. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys all off season long. Now we turn our attention to free agency. I'll continue to break down the draft as we head towards the combine. And you know what it is. We'll hit March. We'll hit the new league year. And then we transition, I think combine first, then the new league year, free agency hits, and then so full steam ahead, crash course or crash collision with the draft. We'll be on a collision with the draft. That's the end of April. Look forward to all of that. So great season, culminating in an excellent Super Bowl. Chiefs narrowly escape 38-35 with the win. Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, just got on. Do you think Hurts' arm was exposed on the last play? How often are you going to ask Jalen Hurts to try to throw it? Like, first of all, it was a flawed play. They should have you're 75 yards away from the end. Well, not 75 because they squib kicked it. You're legitimate 65 yards, 65 yards. Look, Herbert and some of these dudes could have gotten to the end zone. Allen, they could have gotten into the end zone from where he was, but that's not Jalen Hurts. That's never been Jalen Hurts. Was his arm exposed on the last play? If you're asking him to win a strongest arm contest, yeah, his arm was exposed on the last play. He's not going to be throwing a football that far in an NFL game very often, if at all. He can throw the deep ball. He showed it again tonight. He can do enough. He can throw the ball plenty far. Not going to be asked to do that too many times. No, I don't put too much stock into that at all, that last play. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Tumbleweed. Thank you. That's what it's called. Tumbleweed. the thing that's in those Westerns that's just, bouncing on the ground in the wind as it's being pushed. It's called a tumbleweed. Thank you, Mr. Mini Guy. I couldn't think of what it was called. Tumbleweed. There you go. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. I think this is your second one. Double up. I think. I'm not sure. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Good season, Mob. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I agree. Swaggy P. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Swaggy P, who writes, also wanted to add, when I saw Rihanna pregnant on stage, it should have been me. My sister texted my wife, and we're in a group text, and she said, why does Rihanna look pregnant? And I'm like, does she? And my wife was like, she just probably didn't lose the baby weight yet. Most celebrities, we just assume with these celebrities, they have a baby and they snap back like that. Like, they're not allowed to have a elongated process after having a baby. They got to lose that weight in 6 weeks, be back to where they were. They got to snatch it back. Maybe she just didn't lose the weight yet. How many times have we seen Rihanna since she had the baby? Right? I don't know. I don't get into that stuff, but maybe she is pregnant. Maybe she is pregnant. I don't know. I always associate the halftime act of the Super Bowl with someone that's about to launch an album. Because generally speaking, I don't need the Super Bowl if I'm a big time act, unless I'm using it as an opportunity to launch my new project that I'm about to put out. And generally that's how it goes. And usually after you launch a new project, you go on tour. That's how you make your money. Now, she's got all these different companies. She doesn't even need music anymore, to be honest with you. With Fenty blowing up the way that it is, she doesn't really need music money. That's side money for her. But I don't know. Maybe she is pregnant. She could be. I don't know if she is. Take Command for Life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Take Command for Life. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB rights. Wasn't my second. This is, though. Well, let's do it again. Double up. We're going to double up again. I wasn't sure. I was like, didn't quite remember if it was or not. So, anyway. Mike Masters. It should have been D's. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. I told you. I knew it was you. Again, random picture, random name, like out of nowhere, a very, a very questionable comment. It reeked of luck. Bro, I'm on it. I told you, I'm not going to tell you that. I can't be giving away secrets of the trade. Anyway, Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rocky D, double up. Thank you for doubling up. Greatly appreciate you, rights. Now, if Kansas City OC doesn't come to Washington, who do you think will come? This is my last. LOL. I know you're trying to leave. I mean, I'm sticking around as long as y'all are around. I told you it's a 4-coordinator race. I think it's Bieniemy is out in front. If it's not Bieniemy, then I think it's Anthony Lynn, the former Chargers head coach, the running backs coach, was in San Francisco this past year, helping coordinate the run game. If it's not Anthony Lynn, it's Ken Zampese, who's already in Washington as their quarterback's coach currently. He just gets promoted. Tennessee Titans did a similar thing with their organization. And then lastly, I think Pat Shurmur brings up the rear as a guy that should be considered and will be considered for the job. That's it. I don't think you're going to see any of the other guys. Charles London in Atlanta, who they interviewed, Eric Studeville in Miami, who they interviewed, or Thomas Brown in LA with the Rams, who they also interviewed. I don't think any of those guys are going to ultimately be the head coach or offensive coordinator. So I think it'll be one of those 4. Take Command for Life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. These nuts. These nuts. I don't know if that accent mark changes how you pronounce that. Anyway, I wanted to ask y'all this before I went. I'm glad you guys kept me here a little bit longer. I forgot. What y'all think of the commercials? How'd y'all feel about the commercials? Wasn't moved. I said this during the stream when we were watching the Super Bowl together, that for me, the Super Bowl commercials are like the slam dunk contest in the NBA. It's pretty hard to come up with something that we haven't seen. Now, I think there's a little bit more wiggle room for companies trying to be creative with a commercial that we'll remember, that we associate with their product, versus dunking a basketball into a hoop. There's only so many ways you can do that, where you can be really creative with a commercial and do something we've never seen. It's just hard. Like, you can't do the talking animal thing. We've seen that a million times. The talking baby thing, we saw that with, I think it was an E-Trade commercial today or some kind of commercial like that. We've seen that a million times. For a while, the Budweiser had the, is it Budweiser or was it with the Clydesdales? It's one of those beer commercials. I think it was Budweiser. Doritos, I thought they had a nice little run. There was like a 3-4 year stretch where Doritos, I knew I could count on them for a funny ass commercial. They had one today. It was with the triangle with your boy, and it didn't move the needle. Like, it's hard to come up with a great Super Bowl commercial. There were a couple. I thought the T-Mobile commercial with Bradley Cooper and his mom was pretty good. The Dunkin' Donuts commercial with Ben Affleck, I didn't love the whole commercial. The ending was great with J-Lo coming. You're like, this is what you do when you say you're going to work? He's like, guys, I gotta go. That was a solid commercial, but I didn't nothing gut busting. None of these commercials had me like, yo, that was a good ad. The one of the best commercials. It reminds me of that NFL. What was it? The 100th year anniversary a few years back. I think it was 2012. It wasn't 2012. I think it was 2018 or something. 100-year anniversary, whenever it was, and they had the scene where they were at like a dinner or whatever, and the football was in there, and they were tackling each other, lateraling in it. That was the best commercial of the entire Super Bowl. It was an NFL commercial. I think the flag football commercial with the little girl, the Hispanic girl, running around when she goes home after dodging all these people trying to get her flag, and her mom tries to get the flag. Like that might have been the best commercial of the night. I mean, it wasn't a great night for commercials, but then again, I don't think we've had a great Super Bowl commercial situation in roughly like 7 years. It's been a long time, maybe 7 to 5 years. It's been a while. Anyway, I digress. Let's see. Rocky D writes, Tubi got me thinking my brother effing with the remote for a second. LOL. That was my favorite. Also the Blue Moon one. I must have missed the Tubi commercial. I don't recall that one. So maybe they like paused the TV or something and it froze. That would have been cool. I must have missed that one. Probably either in the kitchen or running my mouth, and I missed it. The Blue Moon one was pretty good because they made you think it was like every other beer but Blue Moon. And then at the end, it was like, it's a Miller Lite commercial. No, it's this commercial. Nope, it's Blue Moon. I'm like, you got me there. I didn't expect it to be that, but yeah. I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Great Super Bowl. Great way to cap off the 2022-2023 NFL season. Off into the off season we go, and they sent us off in style. Chiefs are your winners of Super Bowl 57, 38-35. Eagles with a valiant effort. Jalen Hurts was a man amongst boys. The offense for the Eagles, from top to bottom, offensive line was stellar. Jalen Hurts, obviously, but don't forget about A.J. Brown's performance. Don't forget about Devontae Smith's or Dallas Goedert. I mean, they had it going offensively. Just couldn't get it done defensively. And then the mistakes, the penalties were very, very timely. And the Jalen Hurts fumble, the punt return, they made just enough mistakes to lose this football game, 38-35. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. You guys get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll probably reconvene at some point this week. You'll hear from me probably early and often because, again, short week for me, be out of town. Now that this long season is done, I've got to recharge the battery. So you'll probably hear from me tomorrow, more likely than not. In any event, you guys have a great one. Take care. God bless, as always, and good night.